Hi guys. So today's video is going to be on the lesson for Thursday, March 19th. Your first thing that you should do is to watch CNN 10. So do that. Watch CNN 10. Get some news from Carl Azus. And then we're doing two slides today. It's three slides, two writing slides, one picture. It's 14, 15, and 16. So yesterday we talked about the first constitution for Ohio in 1802. Why was that important? Well, it made us a state. You had to have a constitution, and the president at the time had to sign off on that to approve you as a state. You had a population. That's the Northwest Ordinance. So here we are. Today, we're going to talk about slide 14, social reasons and what life was like in Ohio at the time of our first constitution. So these are reasons as to why Ohio became a state for like social reasons. So I'm on this slide right here. Why is Ohio a state? Well, and why do you want it to become a state? Well, lots of people were moving here because there's lots of land, you can farm, it's open, and it's an adventure, right? So this is a new opportunity for families to get away from like big city life and come out here and have lots of space to live on the farm. But some scary things, there were dangerous animals like squirrels, and centipedes definitely count as dangerous animals for sure. They were also facing Native Americans. So the colonists are going to continue to push the Native Americans back. So that's who they're facing. So in addition to just new terrain and living in a new place, you're also pushing back Native Americans from their home, and they're obviously going to fight for that. So you're going to have to do some fighting, which we'll talk about. Why do we want to become a state? Well, life was very hard if you didn't have money. So just for example, today, our state government for Ohio is asking the federal government for help. When we weren't here in person, Mike DeWine declared a state of emergency, and I said that was to get more attention from the federal government. So if you're not a state and you just have a bunch of people living in this territory, which they were, come to Ohio, live here, you are by yourself. You don't have, and you're alone. You don't have a government to help you pay for things. You don't have the federal government because you're not a state. You're not recognized as anything. So lack of medical care was a huge problem for people because they didn't have anything. You're basically picking up and moving someplace with nothing. There's no buildings or anything like that, your fresh start, right? So we wanted to become a state. This is that last line at the bottom. We wanted to become a state to have proper representation, and it would benefit the people living here because you can get attention from the federal government. You can get help from the federal government. You're going to be restarting and building towns and stuff, so you definitely need that money to build schools, homes, hospitals, all of that stuff. So you coming here by yourself is great, but they're going to push for statehood fairly quickly because you want that state status. Just like Washington, D.C. is constantly pushing to become a state. Puerto Rico is pushing to become a state because you want that attention from the federal government. The next slide, political reasons for statehood. Northwest Ordinance, we are trying to accomplish that checklist. That's the first bullet point up here. You want to have a population, so you're also encouraging people come on, live in Ohio, encouraging people to move to Ohio for population. You're trying to make that constitution, which we've established already, and providing education, but you need money to build schools. So this is another reason why you want federal attention, so you can have that money. And no slavery. That we're trying to get those four things. Just talked about the Native Americans. We're going to be pushing them back, of course, because we want this territory and we're going to take it from them. I also have on there a lot of the land in Ohio was conquered by a man named Anthony Wayne, General Anthony Wayne, and that actually is a school in Toledo. It's a school district. Anthony Wayne actually was my rival school growing up, so I have a agenda against Anthony Wayne. So they were our rival. He conquered a lot of the territory, this general, and pushed a lot of the Native Americans away. There was a battle called the Battle at Fallen Timbers, and Fallen Timbers, which I have pictures on the next slide, is a place. It's a location. There was a key battle there, and they actually took they built monuments and stuff. Here's to Anthony Wayne, this general who gave us this land and pushed Native Americans out of their home at the same time, which is not good. But here's this land, And then what they did to honor it is they plopped a mall. So there's actually a mall in Fallen Timbers to honor General Anthony Wayne, who took land from Native Americans and gave us this. So do that with what you will. I have stars at the bottom. There's stars at the very bottom. And it says the more decisions the territories made became motivation for statehood and official representation by the federal government. Sorry, there's somebody at the door. That is your summary. That should be your summary statement. There's stars at the bottom. Okay. I also have pictures for you all on this slide, which that picture of the map you should have seen before. It should look familiar to you. That's the Northwest Ordinance. We gained Ohio once we have accomplished those checklists. Once the people continue to push for statehood, that's the Northwest Ordinance. That's the Northwest Territory. Here is General Anthony Wayne, a monument for the Battle of Fallen Timbers and pushing Native Americans out so that we can become a state. You know, get the Native Americans out of here because we need to become a state, and it's awful and terrible. And then this down here is the mall at Fallen Timbers. So it's like, thanks, General Anthony Wayne. We'll honor you with a mall. So yeah, quick news stuff once you have those two slides done and that. Quick news stuff. A lot's going on, obviously. Keep informed, know what's going on. You will see that governments, state governments, are going to get more and more serious. Lots of things are closing, social distancing, like gyms have closed. Eventually, I feel like, what was the last thing that just closed? Was it gyms? Oh, non-essential personnel, like don't be on the streets and stuff. Eventually, if you don't have to go out, you will not be allowed to go out. San Francisco actually is implementing it's like a stay-at-home quarantine type thing for 3 weeks. So unless you need to purchase groceries or get gas or you work for like a delivery service, then that's the only reason you should be going outside. So that's in San Francisco. It's a very large city, so they have a lot of people to kind of monitor. But you'll see lots of governors will come out and say, asking President Trump for stuff. I did find it interesting that the governor of New York said that he wants to start building like outside hospitals or just like mass producing, hospitals just in case they're overflown with people who are sick. And he was asking President Trump to get the Army Corps of Engineers, which is a group of engineers who work in the Army or are part of the Army, and they are engineers. So they build things. So for example, like if we were in a war or something like that and they needed to build like a bridge or build like a building really quickly for the soldiers, then that's what the Army Corps of Engineer does. And so what he wants to do in New York is to have them start mass producing hospitals. President Trump denied him that because they haven't reached their capacity yet. But I think what the governors are trying to do is kind of prevent that from happening and just kind of be prepared as best as possible. So keep an eye on what's going on. Stay inside. Don't be around people. Do your slides. Watch CNN 10. Bye, guys.